Fake for Life. In today's P4L review, we'll be taking a look at a pre-production sample from our friends at ToyWorld. This is their TW-M01 Primorion or Primorion, or however you want to say it. It's a mismatch of Prime and Orion, obviously. But yeah, this is their kind of masterpiece-ish, but actually kind of larger than masterpiece scale. Optimus Prime, obviously. And this is also a kind of more of a, I guess, Studio Ox take and maybe more of a toy take on the figure than what we've come to see from other releases like the two previous Masterpiece figures. So, really quickly, this is a pre-production sample, so all the things that you see here are not a final piece. So there are things that probably are likely to change or improve by the time you get it into your hands if you do collect this guy. The second thing is, I did want to say that ToyWorld reached out to me and sent me this sample to review, and I kind of sound like one of those Amazon sponsored reviews, but they sent this to me in exchange for an unbiased opinion and review. So while doing a quick 360, we'll talk about how this guy stands up in terms of overall height. So again, a little bit bigger than Masterpiece scale. So the new MP10 or new Masterpiece Prime MP10 stands about this tall, so a little bit higher. The old MP1 or MP01, as some people like to call it, is a little bit taller than that. And then finally, the only other one I want to really do comparisons with is their Weijing MPP10. So this stands quite a bit bigger. So really interesting take on the scale, right? I don't know why they decided to go with a new kind of slightly upsized scale with their obvious kind of like Masterpiece or G1 inspired line, but that's what they're doing. So this is a whole new numbering system, so that's why it's M01. A couple of things. This background here is not a new background that I'm using. It actually comes with this figure when it will release. So this one is actually what we're calling, I guess, kind of chain bases. These are 4 separate pieces. When the final figure releases, you'll get 2 of these. So 2 of these sections here. Let me actually just take this apart. This is 2 pieces. And you can see you can combine it in various ways like this. There are also pegs that are included. Give me a second and I'll throw that on. So these pegs here, various pegs can be used to probably adhere various pieces more securely. This is actually quite secure without these pegs, but you can plug this in into the corners and secure that. I'm guessing you'll be able to like plug these in some other way to get it even more secure, or add on pieces later. Like you can plug in these 2 pieces like this on the tips or something like that. In any case, I don't find these wholly necessary, but it's nice that they include them, and I'm guessing it's going to be for the extensibility of this kind of chain base. Again, you're going to get 2 of these pieces with this guy when he releases. Alright, so I really like that set. I think it's very cool. In addition to what you see here, which is the Energon axe, the gun, you also have some replacement pieces. So you have some translucent pieces here that you can swap out, the blue translucent on the chest and the Autobot symbol kind of area here. And then you also got 4 little triangles. So this guy, it's going to be hard to see. So this guy has these 4 triangles here. These were actually like holes, but they gave you these 4 triangles to fill that in so it didn't look very gappy. If you want to switch out the translucent pieces, or even flip this around, you just open this up, push through, and this piece comes out. So let me see if I can show you that. And you can flip this around if you want and plug it in backwards. If you just want to have a plain arm like that, or just have it on one arm. I think typically he only has one of these on his right shoulder, but what you can do is actually pop out, and it's going to be a little hard to do, but you can pop out this gray piece and this blue piece and replace it with this gray piece. Same thing with the chest. You can go ahead and pull down on this section here. Come on. And then you get some molded detail, which somebody pointed out on Facebook that this is actually inspired by parts of the comics where you can see this detail. In any case, you can push through on this translucent glass here, and then you can put in the gray smoke colored one if you'd like. Very simple. Nice add-ons. Optional display pieces. And then lastly, since we have the chest already open, the last thing that came with this guy was a matrix. And this thing is a big chunk of die cast, super heavy. You can see how golden it is, and then the center's a plastic or something like that. That's really nicely done. Very, very heavy. Feels even more substantial than any of the ones that I've had before with any of the other MPs or even the MPP-10. So very nice additions there. I don't know why this isn't folding up. Come on, there we go. So nice display piece in terms of all the different options you have. This Energon axe just plugs on to the fist. You just curl up the fist like that and plug it in. There's a really nice stiff hard plastic. It's not a soft plastic. You can hear that. Move that off to the side. And then the gun is actually quite cool in that, well, first of all, it's molded really nicely. It's that blue color, so if you liked the blue color blaster that came with, you know, Masterpiece Prime before, the first one, you'll like this one. Has some nice molded detail, small amounts of paint apps, which are nice. But it's really nicely molded. The best thing about this is that it has a working trigger, and the trigger actually works and turns on the LED in the barrel, and it comes pre-installed. I'm guessing you slide this up, and I haven't been able to do it, but it looks like this is a slotted piece that you pull down, and I'm guessing that's where the batteries go, but I have had no luck doing this. So I don't know if it's glued into place or what, but oh, there we go. I finally got, yeah, so there we go. So you have these two big batteries that came pre-installed on mine. I don't know if yours will come pre-installed or not. And let me see, just because I hate it when people don't tell what kind of LR44 batteries are what you're going to need. So if you need batteries, LR44, very, very common, even in the US. You should be able to get that at any CVS or something like that. It does have an opposite slotted system, so instead of having a tab on the handle that goes into a slot in the hand, it's actually a tab on the hand and a slot here. I find this to be a little bit more frustrating to get in, because you can't kind of like rotate it in, but you know, it's just a different style. Alright, so that was a lot to go through just with all the accessories and so forth, but I wanted to go through that. Some other features, working side view mirrors. He also has what are communicator mouthpieces. It's gonna be hard to see, sorry about that, but they pull out, and you can see on this side here, it comes out to the front of his mouth, and they're on both sides. Yeah. A little tab that you just push through. I don't know where this was ever featured. I guess it's a nice add-on. I don't think it was wholly necessary. And the one on my right, or his right, our left, is really loose, so it comes down on mine quite a bit. So, but I'm sure you can stiffen that up. He does. Zooming in on the head sculpt or face sculpt, it's a really, really nicely done one. I don't know if they mimicked it off of MP10, because it does look very similar, but it does have its own differences and unique takes. I wish, and maybe they will do this, but I wish they had like a splash of silver on it, because right now it just looks really, really blue. He does have light piping, but I don't have a flashlight. Let's see what I have. The only light I have is a black light, which I don't know is going to work very well here. Yeah, you're not really going to be able to see that, so I apologize for that. But believe me, it does have light piping. You can see it on the back. It's very little, so I actually would have preferred just painted eyes, personally. But you can disassemble the head and you can probably paint that. He doesn't have painted areas around the eyes, which is very reminiscent of the G1 toy. I don't personally like that, but you know, again, it's a stylistic choice. I just think it makes his head look a little dead to me. But he does have rotation there and at the head, swivel and a swivel there, which is great. So he has a lot of nice articulation on the head. I think the head is a little small for how chunky this guy is, but again, that's just my personal take on it. Other cool stuff that he does have: rubber tires. He does have rubber tires on the back. This again is inspired by the Studio Ox kind of design, where he did have tires on the back. It is accurate, quote unquote, to the style that they're going for. I will say that it did remind me of Ironhide, but this is actually a lot cleaner and less gappy than Ironhide. So yeah, really clean robot mode. I do think it's actually quite nice. Really nice use of chrome. It does have a little bit of die cast, I think, in the foot here on the toe. I don't think on the, maybe the heel, yeah, the heel as well, some translucent pieces, but not a whole lot of die cast, but he is still quite a hefty, chunky figure. He feels quite solid. Other articulation: shoulders are ratcheted. You can go back for transformation, but also for articulation. His arms, his shoulder joint here actually telescopes out to give you more room should you need it. And then there's also the shoulder joint in here. So there's lots of points of articulation at the shoulder. Obviously that looks kind of terrible, but again, using that in conjunction with the other joints, you can get a lot of posability. Swivel at the bicep, ratcheted double jointed elbows. So he has one at the top here and one at the bottom. He does have really nicely done hands. So he has a ball jointed thumb, and then individually articulated fingers that have a base joint and then one knuckle joint here, and then even a little tip joint, which is really nice. He does have a swivel that can go back, so you can be like, yo, talk to the hand, and a swivel there, which is kind of nice. So very nice articulation there. The waist is where I have most of my problem with his articulation. He does have a slight ab crunch. Not really. It's really for transformation, and you get a lot of interference with the grill. That's the big thing. But my problem I have here is that there's a lot of, oh, see, that's just scary. Like a lot of interference when in collision when you're using the waist joint. And it's supposed to go 360 and can, but then there's again a lot of stuff, a lot of moving pieces that aren't really secured, like the grill. This piece in particular is a little long, and so when it rotates around it can get caught on stuff. I think it would have been better if they just straightened that out, but he does have it. It just doesn't feel that great. See, and if you get the grill out of the way, you can get a little bit more ab crunch going on. He does have hip skirts that go up and like that, and no hole in the crotch, which is nice. And then he has really interesting hips. So the hips are on a joint here that comes down mostly for transformation, but you can get it extended for different kinds of poses if you want. Ratchets here at the forward and back. And then he has a really interesting upper thigh bend here. I guess it's so that you can do bends without moving the skirt all the time. I don't like it that much just because it's not very clean. It's kind of gappy there. But it's an interesting joint, and it's friction, and it's not strong enough. So then maybe they'll tighten that up. Friction at the thigh swivel is down here. There's no thigh swivel at the top, and I really don't like designs like this where the swivel is blocky like that and it looks unnatural. He does have really deep double jointed knees, so he can basically do a kneeling pose all the way down, and with his pointing toes, yeah, he can sit in a kneeling position really well. Very impressed with that. And they're ratcheted, as you can hear. Going out to the side again is just friction. Just needs to be tightened up a little, but it's not terrible. Not a lot of going back articulation. That's one thing I wanted to point out, just because of the butt flap. You can probably work with it because this butt flap's on some tabs like this. You can get it out the way, so it's not a lack of being able to do that. It's just interference with other parts of the figure. All right, and then we talked about the feet a little bit, but the feet have a separate heel and toe. And then a little flap here that allows you to make use of his ankle tilt. And then you can go actually forward with this ankle like this. So you can get really dynamic poses. So by and large, really nice posability in his robot mode. And it's very clean. I would say both modes are really quite clean. I like the way the back is here. That's one of my biggest complaints about the previous MP figures. Like, this doesn't look very good here. And they were able to hide all that and make it look really accurate to the show, having this kind of rounded piece here. Alright, so that was a lot of talking. Let's go ahead and do some transformation. This guy's transformation is definitely my least favorite part about him. Given that we've had a lot of good MP or Masterpiece, or even in general Optimus Primes, I would hope that they would have executed the transformation a bit better. But I don't think it's not fun, and there are a lot of clearance issues that I think make this figure not great as a transformation or engineering standpoint. But they're doing some interesting things. They're going to be things that the way they do it is very unique. So that's one thing I will say about it. So let's go ahead with the transformation on the legs first. We're going to go ahead and fold these feet up. You unpeg this foot here like this. And you're going to want to rotate this around. You can just go like that for now. And the way this lower leg works, it's very interesting. It's it transforms in a turning fashion. So you got to turn it like this. You see this whole lower section of the foot turns. So you're going to want to untab it at the knee here and then turn it like this. And once you do, you're going to want to rotate at the thighs. So the thighs, you're going to want to rotate 90 degrees. Oh, sorry, pull this entire hip joint down and rotate 90 degrees at the thighs. And then once you have that done, you're going to see this piece on a hinge here. You're going to untab it and collapse it in on itself like that. All right. And then from here, you're going to want to rotate that leg joint again twice to get it all the way around and get it to look like this. And then the wheels tab in or peg in there, these two sections. And that's it. All right, same thing on the other side. We'll do that a little bit quicker. Collapse this. Unpeg this up here, rotate it around. This part's gonna turn, untab at the knee, and then rotate it all the way like this to expose this opening. No, I guess you should get this hip down first. Rotate that in, collapse it like that, and then rotate it all the way back around. So once you've done that, well, I guess while you're here, you can go deal with this gas tank, which is actually oddly shaped. You're gonna flip out this little piece, and then it sticks in like that. Like this, and then it's on the double hinge that collapses inwards. Lastly, you're gonna make use of this stuff later, but you're gonna wanna untab it now. You untab the leg, the front part of the leg. You can see how it extends on the sliding joint. Go like this and fold it up and just leave it like that for now. And these are gonna cover up the back of the cab. And then you can just tab both halves together. Now or later, it doesn't really matter, but there are a lot of really secure tabs. There we go. No real trailer hitch. There is a slot here, so maybe they're gonna plan to create one at some point that can tab in here and make use of these tabs. I'm not really sure. Alrighty, so that was the lower body, and we're gonna go with the upper body now. Let's go ahead and deal with the head first. From here, you're gonna flip these rounded pieces back. Oops, sorry. I'm gonna actually flip this up first. This is a little cover piece. So flip this up, get that down. That just sits like that. It's just a gap filler. Untab the back of the head, or the back of the body, so you can tuck in the head. Again, clearance issues. I feel like this is almost too small for the size of the head, and you get a lot of that in the transformation. Flip that down. Be very careful with these antennae, okay? have them pointed out, and then when you start closing it up, I just push them in slightly, and this tabs in, and that makes sure that you don't destroy your antenna like that. All right, so that's one piece. While we're back here, let's go ahead and get the bumper out. Release these wheels. Just get that out of the way. Just gives you a little bit more room to work with the upper body, which has a lot of stuff going on. While we're here, let's rotate at the waist 180 degrees. And then we'll go to the arms. Dealing with the arms, just fold up the thumb as you would expect, all the way down. Close up the fists. Like so. You're going to bend 90 degrees at the upper elbow joint. And then here's where it gets interesting. This actually collapses into the forearm. So push it all the way back so it lines up with this, and then rotate 90. Oh, sorry, you're going to have to rotate 90 degrees this way. The under part of the arm is kind of like MP10. You're going to flip this open. A little flap here. A little flap like this. Same thing on the other side. Let's just prep this for now. Open these up. These tabs up. And this is where the sliding joint on the forearm plays. When you collapse it in, you need that extra room. So again, 90 degrees at the upper elbow joint. Collapse that in, and you're going to want to rotate it like this. But for now, let's deal with the chest. Open up the chest. This gives you a little bit more access to the grill, which is on double hinge, and as you can tell, there's a lot of double hinges in this. Flip out the upper part of the grill, and then on the double hinge, this is actually going to come down on the hinge like that, and then you can close up the chest. Bending this like this, you're going to start getting access to the midsection, and this is where I think the transformation kind of breaks down. You gotta untab this on this double hinge and flip it out and around like that. It doesn't feel very secure. It doesn't tab in anywhere. This tab just basically keeps it in this place, but it doesn't actually keep it secure, which is, I think, would have been better if they actually had a slot there instead of just a lip. You're gonna want to rotate them down kind of like this, and we'll leave that for now because we'll need to make sure we get that correct later. Here on the inside, it's on a sliding joint, the sliding pin, these two pieces. And then once you slide it out, that gives you the room to actually rotate these pieces out. There's a little bit of interference here, so you may, there we go. Once you do that, go like that. Once that is rotated out, you can fold in this piece and then fold out this back piece here. Same thing on the other side. Sliding joint. Open this up if you can. Fold in this piece. Open this up. There we go. All right. So once that's done, you can finally rotate in the arms. You're going to pull out the pipes and then flip them up like this. Then you get the arms in. This is where it gets kind of interesting with the clearance again. You basically just rotate back on the shoulders as you would expect with an Optimus Prime, and then you just need to get the fist in here somehow. So you might be able to get it in underneath like this, but you basically just need to get it in behind there, and that's a little bit scary because this piece feels a little flimsy. Then just get that back. There's big pegs on the back here that peg into the arms. So once you do that, tab that all together, you kind of see this piece all forming. This gap here is filled by flipping this up, flipping this filler down, and closing it like that. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Again, just kind of working this back, working this fist in somehow, some way. Making sure to collapse this joint as far as you can so that you can get that peg in. There we go. Get this filler piece closed up. Alright, so from here, there's tabs on the shins that tab into the back. Like that. That holds that all secure, and then you can flip these down. Again, there's kind of clearance issues here, and you can actually feel it kind of scratching, and you can see scratches here on the shins because of how this joint works. I don't like that. Maybe what you can do is pull it first. There's probably some way to do it to minimize some of that collision, but it's just kind of the story with this figure. A lot of clearance issues. Ah, darn it. So this piece, these gas canisters are supposed to stay out, and they tab in. But sometimes they like to fold back in. There we go. Tap that in. Alright, now coming to the final part. With the wheels out of the way, flip out these headlights and these little filler pieces for the bumper. And then you see these two slots here, they correspond with these two tabs here. But because there's no really defined area for these, like it's hard, you just kind of have to guess on how to position these and just play with them until they get into the tabs. So kind of look underneath and hopefully guide them in. Again, not the most well designed transformation pieces here. I think I got it in. Alright, so once you do that, flip these up. These tab into the front there, and these pieces tab closed. To secure that, then bring the wheels forward and rotate them. And with that, you have Primorion or Primorion in alt mode. I don't think there's any storage for the gun as far as I can tell. You know, there's nowhere it really pegs in, but that's fine. I don't really mind that. Oh, sorry, you can flip out the side view mirrors as well. But he does look really good. Really nice, hard rubber tires. They roll really well. He looks really clean. So I mentioned that before. His robot mode and his alt mode both have very, very clean aesthetics, which is really nice. There's no opening back here. There's a small gap there, but that's really nothing. I think this looks kind of weird. I think it would have been better if they incorporated something kind of like MP1 where you can rotate it around and get these lights kind of near the top. But it's fine. Small details are nice. Paint apps. Nice silver here. The silver is pretty well applied, although I do have a lot of scratches on the bumper, and I think that's just because, you know, it is exposed on the robot mode side. So I do have some scratches there. I don't know why they went blue on here, aside from the fact that they probably were using the same plastic for the windshield here. Nice painted details. But overall, I think it's really well done. The chrome looks really nice on the smokestacks and the gas cans. And the top looks really good. So overall, I think this is a really, really nicely done alt mode, even if it is pretty boxy. It does remind me kind of ToyWorld's Orion in the overall how things tab and how kind of frustrating it is to get into alt mode. But it's really, really well done. The results kind of speak for themselves. I do wish the wheels would tab in somewhere. They just kind of push up and sit, but they do turn a bit, which is kind of nice. And even on the bottom here, you can see how quite clean it is. In both the undercarriage, the only little bit of gappiness here. So I'd say this is really quite successful in alt mode. I don't have really very many comparisons. I don't feel like transforming all of those primes. So let's just go ahead and do a comparison with Streak. And I think this probably is a more realistic scale, I guess, in terms of alt mode. I could be wrong, but this looks a little bit more in scale in alt mode than MP10 does, which looks a little small, obviously. But yeah, quite nice. Let's go ahead and get them transformed back. Transforming back is a little bit easier, which is good. And then we'll finish off with final thoughts. So let's go ahead and just loosen some stuff, like untab this, tab that. Just get these out of the way. The next thing we'll do is actually fold these in, deal with these tabs here. There we go. Then pull on that to loosen the bumper. Push in these filler pieces first. Come on. There we go. And then fill in the headlights. And you can untab that and just let that sit for now. Pull the wheels down. Just get them out of the way for now as well. I'd like to untab this section here on the bumper, just because, not the bumper, the gas canister, just to get everything free. Because you don't want to break any tabs, obviously. So just release that for now. Same thing on the other side. Just get it released. Kind of out of the way. All right. Now let's go ahead and deal with the arms first. Okay, so let's open this up. These fillers up, fold those in, same thing on the other side, fill that in, close it up, and then we'll deal with the arms. First thing you'll do is kind of reach in and unpeg the arms. There we go. This big chunky pegs in there. And then you're going to want to just kind of pull them out like that. Again, be careful here. You don't want to break anything. This is the one section that I think you're stressing a little bit more than you should for a good transformation. But let's just get those out the way. Same thing on the other side. There we go. All right, once you have that released, let's go ahead and fold in these pieces on the forearms. Close that up. Get the smokestack down. Extend the forearm. Get it down and slide this piece up. Same thing here. This piece feels like you're stressing something when you close it. See, when you push it down, it kind of pushes that one piece out. It doesn't feel very good. So just be careful there. Again, it's just minor refinements in terms of clearances that maybe they'll be able to fix before the final release. So now we have the arms done, which is great. Let's go ahead and deal with the upper body. So we'll fold this piece in and then just reach in here and pull out that piece. And then once you have that done, you can fold that back into inside. Fold that in. And remember, they're on sliding joints, so remember to collapse them in. Use these double hinges to get this up. You'll see that small tab will go into the back here. Like this. Same thing on the other side. Just pull back on this to get the clearance through. And this tab, again, doesn't actually tab in anywhere, it just clears. Then if you can get it, you can get this tabbed in on the back. Alrighty. Keep going with the upper body, open up the chest. And same thing here, see, when you open this up, it sounds really kind of scary. Okay. Fold in the top part of the grill. use a double hinge to get this up against the body. Close up the chest. We'll rotate at the waist 180 degrees, get that around, and then finish off the upper body by coming to the back here. So the first thing we'll do is open it up, get the head released, tab it back into the back, open up these backpack sections, and fold in that piece. It doesn't seem to fold in flat. There's always a little bit of a gap, which is kind of a bummer, but not a big deal. Alright, the legs. Separate the legs. Go ahead and flip this around. Collapse the sliding joints. Tab that in. From here, we're going to go ahead and untab the wheels. There we go. Just need to get them loosened up a bit. You're going to rotate the leg twice. This little like shin mechanism, and that way you'll have the gap to get this all the way around. Then you rotate it back once, and then fill in the hole with the wheel with that tab there, or peg, as it were. Rotate at the thigh 90 degrees, and then go ahead and push this piece back up like that. And then with the gas tank, just flip in this section like that. And that the bottom part's on double hinge. Make sure it sits out of the body. The knee actually tabs in. It could be a little bit more secure, but it actually works okay. So again, untap this, rotate it twice, get the knee out, rotate it back once, flip this around, peg it in, and then here you can see that the knee tabs in like that. This gas canister, which was up against the body, used the double hinges to get it out and down, and that'll give you the room to fill in with this piece. There we go. And then rotate at the thigh. Push this back into the crotch area, or the hips. Open up the feet and heel, or toe and heel, and finish off with the butt pack. This is double hinge here. Just get it to collapse in on itself. Clear the wheels. Then actually tabs in down there, and then pull the wheels down. And then we have Primorion back in robot mode. So finishing off with final thoughts. It's a very interesting take, right? So my biggest qualm with this guy is not the overall figure. The figure looks great, I think, in robot mode and alt mode. Aside from, a lot of the clearance issues that I think in both engineering, transformation, and the, overall design, could have used a little bit more refinement, and maybe we'll still see that before we get an actual retail release. Aside from that, the bigger issue I have is with the choice to go with this new kind of scale. I don't know that anybody's clamoring for a, MP plus, slightly plus size scale, and that's where they're going with, this new line. Actually, even with the Constructicons that they put out, they were slightly bigger than the MP scale that we have obviously established with MP10. For Prime, I can see people wanting a slightly bigger Prime. I think people might be interested in that. Same thing with Megs. I don't see them being very interested in a whole line, like having a new line that scales with this new size MP plus Prime. Like their Seekers are a little bit bigger. Their upcoming Jazz and RC and Cup, they're all scaled to this guy, and I don't really get that, aside from a business standpoint of we want to create our own line. For me as a collector, I'm not interested in collecting a new MP-ish, a little bit oversized line. For me, there's just, I already have too much in my collection that I don't want to collect a new scale that is currently only supported by a single company. That said, the figure feels overall pretty good. Really solid plastic, nice heft, nice use of materials, nice paint. The quality is quite good. The look of it in robot and alt mode looks really good. Transformation and engineering and clearance issues aside, I think he's a pretty well executed figure. With the price point and all the accessories that you're getting, like this, the gun, the extra pieces here, the chain base here, I think he's a really good value if you want to collect this guy. Alright? So that's really my final thoughts. Again, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. If you guys want to add this guy to your collection, I believe Toy Dojo will be having their pre-orders up fairly soon, and this guy should be releasing sometime in the new year, 2017. Alright? Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a good one.